Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're unpacking a piece of source material that takes a super familiar classic story and completely flips it on its head with a delightfully unexpected payoff. I mean, if you think you know every folktale inside and out, get ready, because your expectations are about to be wonderfully subverted. We're going to break down the narrative structure of a very specific and surprisingly clever retelling of a story you've probably heard since childhood. We all know how the story of the gingerbread man ends, right? Or do we? Usually, our baked little protagonist runs away from everyone, only to get tricked and eaten by a clever fox at the very end. It's your classic cautionary tale. But the source material we're looking at today, it takes a completely different path. In this explainer, we're going to chronologically track our baked hero through his incredible journey, right up to a completely subverted ending that actually changes the entire meaning of the story. Section 1. Baking a sticky mess, a cozy setup. Okay, let's dive right into this. Every great escape story has to start somewhere innocent, right? Well, here, Granny mixes up the classic ingredients in a big bowl, flour, sugar, butter, and eggs. Step 2, she decorates several traditional gingerbread men with raisin eyes, cherry noses, and happy little smiles. But here is exactly where our story diverges. Step 3, she realizes there's only a tiny bit of dough left over. So instead of making another man, she rolls that last little piece of dough into a simple, round cookie. That's right, our main character isn't actually a gingerbread man at all. He's literally just a little round, leftover cookie. So Granny pops all her creations into the oven, and pretty soon the entire house smells absolutely delicious. But then the moment of truth arrives. The cookies are ready. Granny opens the oven door and suddenly, completely unprompted, that little round cookie just jumps right out. The immediate reaction in the room is sheer panic and confusion. Someone shouts, oops, what a sticky mess. And just like that, this quiet, cozy baking morning is entirely upended. Section 2. The Great Cookie Escape. Out the front door. With that leap from the oven, we completely shift gears. Granny and Grandpa immediately realize what's happening and start shouting, "Wait, catch him!" Our little round cookie just yells, "Ouch, ouch, bye-bye," and literally hits the ground rolling. And this brilliantly illustrates the core mechanic of our story. As he escapes, he establishes his signature chant. I roll and roll and roll away from Granny and Grandpa. You might be fast that I'm fast too, and I will roll away from you. This refrain, it really acts as the heartbeat and the driving rhythm of the entire narrative. It tells us exactly who he is, right? He's confident, surprisingly fast, and totally determined to keep on rolling. Section 3. An escalating animal chase. Meet the animals. Let's move along and see how this builds, because Granny and Grandpa are really just the beginning. As the cookie rolls away, the momentum builds so rapidly across this hilariously specific timeline of animal encounters. Minute 1, our cookie meets a cow who just lets out a surprised moo before giving chase. Then, minute 2 introduces a brilliantly funny detail. He meets a horse, but not just any horse. It's a dizzy horse who goes, whoa, whoa, oof. Minute 3 is absolutely my favorite part. He encounters a big brown bear, and instead of letting out this terrifying roar, the bear literally gives him a high five. How great is that? Finally, in minute 4, he speeds right past a very surprised bunny. It's just this escalating sequence of totally absurd, delightful encounters. And every single time the cookie meets one of these animals, he repeats his rhythmic chant, outruns them, and basically adds them to his trailing crowd. Just look at the massive scale of this growing mob. We've got Granny, Grandpa, the surprised cow, the dizzy horse, the high-fiving bear, and the bunny all frantically chasing this one little round piece of baked dough. The humor here totally comes from the sheer chaotic visual of this ever-expanding parade of pursuers. Section 4. Outsmarting the clever fox. A sharp tension. So, the crucial point is, suddenly, the frantic rolling comes to a dead halt. The loud, chaotic chase completely fades away, and we're left with this sudden, sharp tension. The cookie meets a fox. And if you know your folk tales, you know the fox usually spells doom. The fox doesn't chase, he just sits and he talks. Notice the contrast here. The fox plays the classic cunning strategy. He uses flattery, telling the cookie he sings beautifully. Then he fakes a weakness, claiming his old ears are bad, and asks the cookie to jump on his nose to sing closer. We all know this trick, right? It's the classic setup for the final bite. But check out the cookie's action. The cookie actually jumps on the nose, sings his song, but then, incredibly, he just rolls away. No way, right? he doesn't get eaten. As he leaps off the fox's nose, the cookie uses his signature chant one last, triumphant time. He sings, "And the fox was fast, but I'm fast too, and I will roll away from you." He totally acknowledges the fox's speed and cunning, but he boldly asserts his own. He outsmarts the ultimate folktale trickster, not by fighting, but by sticking to exactly what he does best, rolling away. Section 5. A surprising happily ever after. A sweet subversion. And that brings us to the end of our chronological arc. The mob is left in the dust, the clever fox is left with a completely empty stomach, and our little round cookie rolls happily away. It's an absolute subversion of the tragic fate we've all come to expect for runaway baked goods. Which leaves us with this final thought. Why is it so incredibly satisfying when a classic character finally outsmarts the traditional villain? By changing just a few tiny details, like making him a round leftover cookie and actually letting him survive the fox's trick, this source material breathes entirely new, joyful life into a story we all thought we had figured out a long time ago. It really makes you wonder, what other classic endings could use a little rewrite? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the stories you think you know.